Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem HaKar Kadash, double honor to apostles and elders, the great most honored rule one. Shalom to the brothers in the white Syrian truth. Um, yeah, saw this kind of breakdown of the charges, because what do you call it, Palestine Action, they've been basically classified as like a T organization, and there's a group of them that got arrested. This is like back in 2024 when they got arrested, and and I think even like it wasn't even brought up during the trial, I believe they're saying, but now sentencing, those things are looking like it's gonna apply to them. And then just looking at it, I was like, you know what, it's a lot of these powers are basically being expanded, and it just it's likely just for utilization against brothers, and then it's more of a general thing to group, the people not desire, the people that they don't want to to be easier to deal with. So it's on a Guardian. Says Palestine Action to activists face being sentenced as T's over bank damage. So it says exclusive judge intends to consider T connection after convicting 5 for damage in Burnley. So it says 5 Palestine Action activists face being sentenced as T's for breaking windows and throwing red paint at a branch of Barclays Bank in Lancashire. It's got the names. It says, yeah, one of them's fucking 70. Says were found guilty of causing £212,000 of damage during a direct action protest in Burnley in August 2024. So yeah, it's like near enough 2 years back at this point. So it says they targeted a bank because it held shares in the Israeli weapons firm Elbit Systems. After last month's verdicts, the judge, Philip Parry, told the prosecution and the defense he intended to consider a T connection to the offending, despite neither the jury nor defendants having previously been informed of the possibility. So it kind of just came out there. But then it's a thing where it's likely they're just using it as a what do you call it? It's likely a thing they're using as a example to then make it so people in future it's easier to apply those things to them. Because what does it say? Parry attached Johnson's judgment when asking lawyers for submissions on whether there was a T connection in the Barclays case. It's Malik Parry? No, Philip Parry. Or was it one of the defendants? Okay. Said the judge and CPS are now seeking to sentence us as T's for red paint and a few splintered windows. This goes far beyond the charges before the court and raises serious concerns about increasing use of counter-T legislation to persecute a political dissent. So yeah, that's the thing as well, is really it's that it's basically expanding what a T is, because it's done similarly in America. In America, they're using the domestic T to kind of make it where it's like, oh, certain kinds of protesting, coming against certain things that government's doing, where they basically said explicitly, it's like if you're thingy, explicitly saying like if you're what do you call it? You're talking against certain things, then they get to put you in that bracket regardless of like what kind of action you've taken. It's more or less something that's just based around the what do you call it, like political affiliations and whatnot, or even just as vague as you don't like a particular kind of thing. It's like they're saying, if you're against the war in Iran, then you can get classified as that. If you're against supporting particular countries, then it's like, okay, yeah, then you can get classified under that, and then that basically puts you in a you're losing legendary amounts of rights, legendary capabilities of what you can do, which is should be kind of crazy, but a lot of people would be. The thing with like as well with a lot of these protesters, these like nuisance protesters that were like dashing paint on things and tying themselves to roads, like they were such a nuisance. People were glad, police powers got expanded to basically be able to remove them, but so those expanded police powers stay, and then the classification of what resisting it is and whatnot, all those things got brought into where if it's what do you call it, all those things got expanded to where it's then like what can be classified as T behavior just got expanded and expanded, because I think so it says the attempt to now sentence us as T's demonstrates the extremely dangerous precedent set by Judge Johnson, who sentenced 4 Palestine Action protesters as T's for destroying Israeli quadcopter drones. The Palestine Action co-founder Huda Amori said it was an example of the floodgates flowing from Johnson's protest. And yeah, as a thing, it was an opportunity then to be like, okay, well, you've now involved yourself in a situation where we can now begin to paint everyone with that brush. And like it said, the bank protest took place before Palestine Action was banned as a T group and was not assessed by the Home Secretary nor officials to be a T incident, which is, yeah. So then it's like, even if it's unrelated, if they later on, they can then redefine it, even if it didn't come up, which is kind of wild. There was one other thing, because yeah. So yeah, Extinction Rebellion was Extinction Rebellion was the ones before, where they were doing more or less the same. There was Just Stop Oil as well as Extinction Rebellion, and I think Just Stop Oil, where they were going around being like a supreme nuisance. But then, yeah, like they're saying, they weren't given the T connection. But then this is something that's, because it's tied to Israel, then they can say, okay, it's more political. So then certain political beliefs, we can then just make it where it's like, okay, if you're protesting, you're against those things, then, okay, that's a T connection. Because also it says, in the Fulton case, the activists received lengthy custodial sentences. They will also be subject to 15 years of T notification requirements on release. Because this is the most interesting part I saw, where it says, which informs and warning police of any new device. So it's like, that sounds like if you bought like a fucking TomToms don't exist. If you bought like a new mobile phone, if you bought a laptop, if you bought a whatever, like, and I'm thinking, if you have to notify of the device, I'm like, what, they're going to be able to track certain things? Likely, I was thinking if it was like T, then likely yes, then they should be able to track and kind of see what you're doing on certain things. Because what does it say? Relationships, So you could, you go, I don't know, you change workplace, then you get like new work colleagues. You got to fucking, inform these guys, bank account or address, for 15 years as well, which is fucking crazy. So it could be 13 years down the line. Then it's like, you meet a woman, and then you got to inform it. It's fucking crazy. But then it's like, these are the things where it's like, where it makes sense why they're putting that classification in there, because then it's like more power. And the thing is these things will tie into that beast system, man. Really, it's the means by which they're gonna do these things. That's what you'll kind of look at, because that very much it just looks like a way of something that they're looking to expand. Their justification for doing these things. So as I say, Amnesty International and Liberty were among critics of the T-connection finding, describing it as a misuse of counter-T powers. A T-sentencing also means defendants serve at least 2/3 of their tariff in prison, much longer than is the norm. To obtain parole, they must rescind their political views. So yeah, it's vague as all hell. And the way it's kind of been applied, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, that's like the main thing on sounds like that notification sounds like something they'll like to have on brothers in general. It really ties into that whole beast system where they're pushing this thing in general. Because I read this, Revelation 12 and 12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." And yeah, so that's why it's like, now, they built, it's in really it's from, in the US, it's from 2001, from the what's it called, Patriot Act. We basically get to treat, American citizens, functionally rescind them of their human rights. It's similar over here as well, where it's like that if you get that classification, you get pasted with that T, then you're getting treated like you're losing a lot of the things that you normally have access to. So only 15 years of, unless it's like some kind of sexual offense, or like sex offenders registry or something like that. I don't even know. It's like a man said 15 years, and then they're just gonna be checking up on everything you're doing. Like that sounds kind of wild. But then yeah, it makes sense, because as far as it's like what's the mark for? Mark is for tracking and keeping all these things in line as well. And obviously, it's especially with over here, it's like the tracking. Well, here's where they've been trying to push the the registering your identity to the things you do and post online far more. Well, maybe Australia as well, but I think it's one, and China obviously, but it's where they've already got it in place. But it's like here they're trying hard to get that in, because it's why it's all into that system. That says Isaiah 10:1. It says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless." And yeah, decree unrighteous decrees. There's these unrighteous decrees is functionally their means by which they're looking to enact their desires, man. But you can tell plainly they're just pushing normalizing a certain baseline of of control and power over the people, which goes beyond it, and all goes to what, man? The beast system. That's what they're looking to get, man. That mark is really the culmination of it, and then it shows as justification as people will be like, yeah, well, fuck them guys. They're going around attacking XYZ companies or whatnot, which I know that's lunatic behavior anyway, because I don't know how they're thinking. Like, the military-industrial complex is the bedrock of Esau's system. Like, that's the foundation of what, especially America, the global economy built based on America is built off. I don't know how you're thinking. Like, you smash up some drones, or they're gonna get insurance money and gonna make 10 times as many. But obviously, it's a thing where it's a situation that can then be used as like, okay, we're gonna take advantage of that. Let's say, read this, Revelation 2:10. It says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." So as far as the brothers, we know it's a thing where, where a lot of us are going to get grabbed up, thrown in jail, endure through what we need to endure through. And, some are, it's going to be, you're going to be raised up. Some of them are going to be put to death. There's going to be various things that happen. But, you basically need to hold on to this faith. So it's a thing where it's like, we're highlighting it. It's not like, oh, no, if we get we ain't going to be, losing our mind. You're meant to be firm, established, knowing that these things are, what it's going to be, man. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.